Did you know that according to some studies, nearly 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation? And by the third generation, that number jumps to a staggering 90%. It's like we're great at building things, but we're absolutely terrible at making them last.
It's a phenomenon often called shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, Alex. People focus so much on the what, the money, the property, but they completely ignore the how and the why of the transition itself. That's exactly why the Legacy Chest Protocol was developed. It's a response to that specific failure of planning.
And that's what we're diving into today. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Ariel, an expert in life governance systems. We're talking about the Legacy Chest Protocol, which honestly sounds like something out of a high-stakes thriller, but it's actually a very structured way to handle your estate.
It does sound a bit mysterious, doesn't it? But at its core, it's just a formalized framework. It's about moving away from the idea that a simple paper will is enough. We're talking about a comprehensive repository that secures your intentions, assets, and directives for the long haul.
So it's not just a box in a closet? When I hear chest, I think of a physical heirloom. But you're saying it's more of a system, right?
Exactly. While there can be a physical component, the Legacy Chest is a unified record. It combines physical documents, legal framework, and digital assets into one verified stream. It's designed to be valid across your entire lifetime, and more importantly, long after you're gone.
I love the idea that it's not left to assumption. I've seen so many families fall apart because someone said, "Oh, Dad would have wanted me to have the summer house," but there was nothing in writing. It turns into a total mess.
That's the informal family interpretation trap, Alex. The protocol eliminates that. It's built on the principle that legacy should be clearly recorded and systematically executed. If it's not in the chest, it basically doesn't exist in the eyes of the system.
Okay, so let's break down what's actually inside this chest. The first thing mentioned is the will and testament. Now, most people think they know what a will is, but how does the protocol handle it differently?
In this system, the will is the foundational layer. It doesn't just say who gets the car, it designates the executor and sets specific conditions for inheritance. It's about making sure the individual's intentions are legally recognizable and integrated into the broader governance structure.
So it's more like a constitution for your life rather than just a list of gifts. I imagine the transition section adds even more detail to that, right? Like, what happens the moment you can't make decisions for yourself?
Precisely. The transition or end-of-life section is crucial. It covers incapacitation as well as death. It's where you put your ceremonial preferences, your communication guidelines, basically how you want your story to be told and how you want your affairs handled when you're no longer at the helm.
That sounds incredibly helpful for the family. It takes the guesswork out of a really emotional time. I mean, imagine not having to argue about what kind of service someone wanted because it is right there in the chest.
It's a gift of clarity, honestly. But it also includes administrative instructions for digital and financial assets. Think about how much of our lives are behind passwords today. If those aren't in the transition section, they might be lost forever.
That's a terrifying thought. All those photos, documents, maybe even crypto, just gone. But wait, there's a part of this protocol that really fascinated me, the life list. Sounds like a set of requirements for the heirs,
The life list is where the protocol gets really innovative. It's a conditional framework. It says that before a beneficiary gets full access to their inheritance, they have to meet certain benchmarks. It's not just, here's the money, it's, here is the path to being ready for the money.
Like what? Are we talking about finishing college or something more specific?
It can be education, sure, but it can also be financial literacy benchmarks. You might require an heir to complete a course on wealth management or show a period of career stability. It's about ensuring the wealth doesn't destroy the person receiving it.
That's such a smart way to handle the trust fund baby syndrome. You're essentially gamifying the inheritance, unlocking levels as you prove you can handle the responsibilities. Is that how you see it?
In a way, yes. It's about demonstrated responsibility. If you want to inherit a business, the life list might require you to work in that industry for 5 years first. It aligns the creator's values with the beneficiary's actions.
I can see how that would prevent a lot of resentment, too. If the rules are clear and set in advance, it's not a personal judgment. It's just the protocol. Now, how do we keep track of everything? I'm assuming there's a massive inventory involved?
The asset inventory section is exhaustive. We're talking tangible items like real estate and jewelry, but also intangible ones. Intellectual property, business ownership, and like we mentioned, the digital assets. It's a complete and transparent record.
I feel like most people don't even know what they own. I mean, I have subscriptions and small investments scattered across 5 different apps. Putting that all in one place sounds like a nightmare, but also a huge relief.
It's a lot of work up front, but the transparency it provides is invaluable. It prevents assets from being forgotten or lost in the system. When everything is documented, there's no room for someone to hide an account or for a bank to keep unclaimed funds.
And who's the person making sure all of this actually happens? The protocol mentions an executor and oversight structure. Is this more than just picking your most responsible cousin?
Much more. It's a formal assignment of authority. The protocol defines not just who is in charge, but the procedural pathways they must follow. It removes the ambiguity of, what do I do now? And replaces it with a step-by-step execution plan.
So the executor isn't just winging it, they have a manual. But what if someone tries to mess with the chest? Edit the will after the fact or claim there was a newer version?
That's where the multi-layer verification comes in. Every submission to the legacy chest undergoes a structured review and formal sealing. It creates a traceable chain of custody. You can't just swap out a page or forge a signature because the system has a record of every validated version.
A traceable chain of custody sounds like something used for evidence in a court case. It's that serious, huh?
It has to be. When you're dealing with a person's life work, you need to prevent tampering. The protocol even allows for controlled revision rights. You can update your chest throughout your life, but only the most recent validated version is binding.
Wait, so if I write a new instruction on a napkin and sign it, that wouldn't count?
Exactly. Unless that napkin goes through the official verification and sealing process, it's just a piece of trash. This prevents the deathbed change that often happens under duress or confusion.
That makes total sense. It protects the person from being coerced at the last minute. And you mentioned a centralized registry too? Like a library for these chests?
Yes, the archival registration process. Every legacy chest is logged into a central registry. This ensures that the document exists within official channels. It prevents someone from finding a secret second will that miraculously gives them everything.
It's all about closing the loopholes, isn't it? I'm looking at the notes here about protective inheritance. It sounds like this is specifically for kids or maybe people who just aren't good with money.
It's a major safeguard. If a beneficiary is a minor or deemed unprepared, the protocol restricts access to the assets. The wealth is held in a managed trust, governed by the rules we talked about in the life list. It ensures a responsible transfer rather than a sudden windfall.
Which is so important. I mean, giving an 18-year-old $5 million is usually a recipe for disaster. But if they get it in stages, say some at 25, some at 30, and the rest when they finish a degree, that's a totally different story.
And that's the trust integration mechanism. The assets aren't just sitting there, they're managed. The rules for distribution are tied directly to the creator's goals. It's like a safety net that also acts as a guide.
I also noticed a section on anti-interference protection. That sounds like it's meant to keep the greedy relatives at bay. How does that work in practice?
It's designed to ensure that external parties, whether it's family members or even third-party advisors, can't alter or prematurely access the assets. The system is locked. Unless you have the proper authorization, you can't touch it. It's about protecting the creator's intent from outside pressure.
It's like a digital fortress for your legacy. But what about the setup process? How do they make sure the person creating the chest isn't being forced into it? You mentioned compliance and integrity.
That's a critical layer. The system checks for voluntary participation. It ensures that the person is of sound mind and isn't being manipulated. If there's any hint of coercion or fraud, the chest won't be validated. It's a very high bar for entry.
And then there's the dual seal authorization. That sounds like something out of a nuclear silo. Two people have to turn the key at the same time?
Actually, Alex, that's a pretty good analogy. It requires both structural verification, making sure the paperwork is correct, and final executive approval. Only when both seals are active does the legacy chest become operational. It's a fail-safe against administrative errors or unauthorized changes.
And the supreme authorization is the final boss of the process, right? The ultimate green light?
Exactly. It's the final validation point. Once that's granted, the chest is active. It's ready to be implemented the moment it's needed. It's about creating a system that is ready to go, with no delays or reinterpretation.
I think that no reinterpretation part is the most powerful thing we've talked about. So often people try to find gray areas in a will, but this sounds like it's all black and white.
That's the goal, to replace uncertainty with structure. The estate execution framework kicks in during a transition and ensures that every directive is followed exactly as written. There's no room for a lawyer to argue about what fair means because the creator already defined it.
It really changes the whole conversation about inheritance, doesn't it? It's not just about money. It's about generational continuity. It's like you're passing down a manual for how to be a part of your family.
You hit the nail on the head. It preserves wealth, but also knowledge and intent. It prevents the fragmentation that happens when families fight, or when wealth is just handed over without a plan. It's about building a bridge between generations.
I'm thinking about the psychology of this. If I'm a kid and I know there's a life list waiting for me, it changes how I grow up. I know what's expected. I know there's a structure. It's almost like a mentorship from the past.
It creates a culture of intentionality. Instead of waiting for a windfall, you're working toward a goal. It empowers individuals to build their own lives while knowing they have the support of their family's legacy behind them, if they earn it.
It's such a shift from the traditional way we think about estates. Usually, it's just a sad conversation you have with a lawyer once every 10 years. This feels more like an ongoing project of life governance.
It really is. It's about being the architect of your own legacy. You're not just leaving things behind. You're designing how they will be used to influence the future. It's a very proactive way to live.
Ariel, let's go back to the digital assets for a second. We touched on it, but I want to go deeper. If someone has a massive social media following or a digital business, how does the protocol handle the value of that, which isn't just a number in a bank account?
That's a great question. The asset inventory includes intellectual property and digital goodwill. It might specify who takes over the management of a YouTube channel or who owns the rights to a blog's content. It treats these as real income-generating assets, which they are.
And the passwords, how do you securely pass those on without putting them in a place where they could be hacked now?
The protocol uses encrypted digital components. The instructions on how to access the passwords are part of the sealed chest. They aren't active or accessible until the transition framework is triggered. It's like a time-locked vault for your digital life.
That's a relief. I was imagining a list of passwords just sitting in a folder somewhere. So the system is as much about security as it is about organization.
Absolutely. Security, clarity, and intentional design. The goal is to make sure that a person's life work isn't degraded or misinterpreted. It's about keeping the signal of their intent clear across time.
It reminds me of those old family crests or mottos, but updated for the 21st century. It's like saying, this is who we are, this is what we value, and here's how we maintain it.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Alex. It's a modern tool for an age-old problem. We've always wanted to protect our families and our work, but we haven't always had the systems to do it effectively in such a complex world.
So, if someone is listening to this and thinking, I need a legacy chest, where do they even start? It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It starts with an audit. You have to look at everything, not just your bank balance, but your values, your digital footprint, and your goals for the people you love. Then you start building the framework, one layer at a time. It's a process, not a one-day task.
I guess it's better to do it now while you can clearly state your intentions rather than leaving it for your family to figure out while they're grieving.
Exactly. The best time to build a dam is before the flood. The Legacy Chest Protocol is that dam. It's the structure that keeps everything from washing away.
I'm really struck by the compliance and integrity layer. We often hear about elder abuse or people being pressured into changing their wills. How does the protocol actually verify voluntary participation?
It often involves structured interviews or third-party validations during the creation phase. The system looks for consistency over time. If you suddenly change everything in your chest after a new friend enters your life, the system flags that for review.
That's incredible. It's just like a built-in BS detector for estate planning. It really protects the individual when they might be at their most vulnerable.
It does. And because it's a multi-layer system, it's very hard for one person to manipulate the whole thing. You'd have to bypass the structural verification, the compliance layer, and the executive approval. It's designed to be ironclad.
Let's talk about the life list again. I'm thinking about the financial literacy benchmarks. I think that's something everyone should have to do, inheritance or not. What does that actually look like in the protocol?
It could be as simple as passing a certified course on tax law or investment basics. Or it could be more hands-on, like managing a smaller test fund for a year and showing a certain level of prudence. It's about proving you won't be a victim of the wealth you're given.
Right, because wealth can be a burden if you don't know how to handle it. It can make you a target for scammers or just lead to bad decisions. The protocol is basically teaching the next generation how to be stewards.
Stewardship is the perfect word, Alex. It moves the focus from ownership to stewardship. You're taking care of this for the next generation, just as the generation before did for you. It's a cycle of responsibility.
And what about the archival registration process? If this is in a centralized registry, is it private? I wouldn't want my neighbors knowing what's in my chest.
Oh, it's absolutely private. The registry just confirms the existence and the validity of the chest. It doesn't broadcast the contents. It's like a safe deposit box registry. People know you have a box, but only you and your authorized parties have the key.
That makes sense. It's about having a source of truth. If there's a dispute, you go to the registry and say, "Show us the most recent validated version." And that's the end of the argument.
Exactly. It ends the he said, she said in the court room. It's a definitive, unalterable record. That alone can save families years of litigation and thousands of dollars in legal fees.
I've seen families spend more on lawyers fighting over an estate than the estate was actually worth. It's tragic. This protocol seems like it would pay for itself just by avoiding that.
It really does. It's an investment in peace of mind. But more than that, it's an investment in the family's future harmony. You're taking the money out of the emotional equation by making it a matter of protocol.
We've covered a lot, but I keep coming back to the idea of generational continuity. It feels like this protocol is trying to solve the problem of time. How do we keep our influence alive when we aren't here?
Time is the great eroder, Alex. It blurs memories and dilutes intentions. The legacy chest protocol is like a time capsule that doesn't just sit there. It acts. It continues to govern and guide based on your specific design, even decades later.
It's like writing a book where the characters have to follow your plot, even after you've finished the last chapter. It's a powerful way to think about a life.
It is. And it's not about being a control freak. It's about being a leader. A leader provides a vision and a framework for their team to succeed. The legacy chest is just that, a framework for your family's success.
I love that perspective. It's leadership beyond the grave. So, as we wrap up, what's the one aha moment you want people to take away from this?
I think it's the realization that a will is not a plan. A will is a document. A plan is a system. If you want your legacy to survive the three-generation curse, you need more than a document. You need a protocol.
That's a great takeaway. A will is a document, but a legacy needs a system. Honestly, Ariel, this has changed how I think about my own stuff, which is mostly digital, but still, it matters.
It all matters, Alex. Every bit of it is a piece of the story you're leaving behind. Why wouldn't you want to make sure that story is told exactly the way you intended?
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for walking us through this. It's been a fascinating look at how we can turn uncertainty into structure.
It was my pleasure. It's a topic that more people need to be thinking about, especially as our lives become more complex and digital.
And for everyone listening, maybe today's the day you start your own audit. Think about what's in your chest and how you want it to be passed on. The future of your legacy might just depend on it.
And remember, it's not about the wealth you leave to your children. It's about the legacy you leave in them. The protocol is just the tool to make that happen.
That's a perfect place to end. Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into the Legacy Chest Protocol. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone, and start planning.
Wait, Ariel, before we go, one last thing. You mentioned supreme authorization. Is that a person or a board? I'm curious who actually has the final say in this system.
It's usually a designated authority within the governance structure, often a combination of legal experts and a trusted overseer. It's the final check to ensure everything is in 100% compliance before the chest is sealed and registered.
So it's not just one person with too much power. It's a balanced system. I like that. It feels very secure.
Secure and intentional. That's the whole point. All right, now we're really done.
Okay, thanks again, Ariel. This has been eye-opening.
You're very welcome, Alex. It's always great to discuss how we can better prepare for the future.
I'm definitely going to be looking at my digital goodwill a bit differently tonight. And maybe finally organize those cloud folders.
That's a great first step toward your own legacy chest. Every little bit of organization helps in the long run.
So true. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope this gave you a lot to think about regarding your own life governance and how you want to be remembered.
It's about replacing uncertainty with a clear, intentional design. Have a great day, everyone.
Exactly. Until next time, stay curious and keep planning for what matters most. Bye.
Take care and see you soon.
One more thought, Ariel, as we're wrapping up. Does the legacy chest protocol work for smaller states too? Or is this just for the super wealthy?
That's a common misconception. It's actually incredibly valuable for smaller estates. In fact, when there are fewer assets, it's even more important that they aren't wasted on legal fees or family disputes. The structure helps everyone, regardless of the size of the chest.
That's a really important point. It's about the clarity of intent, not just the number of zeros in the bank account. It's for anyone who wants to ensure their wishes are respected.
Precisely. It's about life governance, not just wealth governance. Everyone has a legacy, and everyone's legacy deserves to be protected and preserved with this level of care.
I think that's a perfect note to truly end on. It's a system for everyone. Thanks once more, Ariel.
My pleasure, Alex. It has been a great conversation. Goodbye for real this time.
Goodbye, and thanks to our listeners for staying with us through this deep dive. We'll be back next week with more insights into how you can build a better future.
See you then.